We started wondering, what's up with this? Like, why? And we started to realize, aha.
There's one theme, just as a complete outsider paying half attention to Daily Mail headlines, that runs through her life, is she's blowing up families. I mean, she seems like she's really caused a lot of problems in her husband's family. Clearly, she's gone after your family.
Samantha Markle has emerged with explosive revelations that challenge everything the public has been told. Meghan's pregnancy narrative is riddled with inconsistencies, and compelling evidence has been lurking in plain sight all along. This isn't simply family jealousy or sibling rivalry speaking. Samantha comes forward equipped with insider information allegedly provided by their father, Thomas Markle. She reveals disturbing details: frozen eggs retrieved exactly 9 months before Archie's arrival, medical timelines that defy biological reality, and perplexing questions about why royal succession matters are shrouded in unprecedented secrecy. These revelations tear apart the carefully crafted fairy tale. Once you hear what's been uncovered, you'll understand why countless observers worldwide are now demanding answers to one explosive question. Did Meghan Markle truly carry and deliver Archie and Lilibet herself?
Now we are looking at the two different theories and whether or not they're truly viable. Is it viable and possible that she would have this postpartum swelling or weight gain without carrying the babies herself through using a surrogate?
Or has she orchestrated the most audacious deception in contemporary royal history? We're examining two competing theories and their viability. Could she have experienced postpartum changes without actually carrying these children through surrogacy? Harry's memoir Spare promised raw authenticity, an unfiltered glimpse behind the palace walls revealing their unvarnished truth. Yet concealed within the emotional revelations and family conflicts lies one detail that quietly shatters the entire narrative. According to Harry's account, Meghan allegedly delivered at Portland Hospital, and astonishingly, they returned home to Frogmore Cottage within just 2 hours. 2 hours. For most people, this sounds impressively efficient. For anyone who has experienced childbirth or witnessed the process, this sounds utterly implausible. But for medical professionals and hospital personnel familiar with postpartum protocols, this timeline isn't merely suspicious, it's medically impossible. Let's examine the facts systematically. Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage requires approximately 1 hour's drive under optimal traffic conditions. If they arrived home 2 hours post-delivery, that means everything happened within 120 minutes. The actual birth, Meghan's physical recovery sufficient for discharge, doctors completing mandatory post-birth monitoring, nurses conducting thorough newborn assessments, discharge documentation processed and authorized, belongings packed, security logistics confirmed, and then an hour-long journey. This sequence isn't medically realistic, violates standard hospital safety protocols, and contradicts what actually occurs after any birth, particularly for first-time mothers.
The children and her child would be what we call a half-ican. I've never heard of that one before. And would look nothing like any of those children. I know hundreds, and skin tone and hair will tell the true story. She used a surrogate. Sorry. Did a deep dive and she couldn't bear children.
The questions intensified when people scrutinized the birth announcement itself, because Archie's arrival was handled in ways that shatter centuries of established royal protocol. Before Archie, every significant royal birth adhered to the same unwavering pattern. The Queen receives immediate notification when labor commences. This isn't merely tradition or courtesy, but mandatory procedure for anyone in the line of succession. The press receives information through official channels at designated stages. Medical staff witnesses follow meticulously documented protocols. Paperwork gets filed precisely according to royal standards established over generations. However, according to sources familiar with May 2019 events, something unprecedented allegedly transpired with Meghan. Reports indicate the Queen wasn't properly notified when labor began.
Because the Portland Hospital doesn't have an emergency department. So, if you are a high-risk birth, or something happens during that labor to either you or your baby, There's no crash team, there's nothing. They will call an ambulance and you'll be sent to the nearest NHS hospital. So when Meghan was talking about, the emergency department, that's why we couldn't do the photograph in front of the hospital.
The press received contradictory information about location and timing. No official witnesses were present as protocol demands, and the birth certificate itself was allegedly amended 11 days after Archie's birth, with Meghan's name altered to Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Now contrast this with every other recent royal birth, because Portland Hospital lacks an emergency department. If you're considered high risk or complications arise during labor affecting either mother or baby, there's no crash team available. They call an ambulance and transport you to the nearest NHS hospital. So when Meghan mentioned concerns about the emergency department preventing the traditional hospital photograph, this raises a... When Princess Kate delivered her children, everything followed protocols perfectly. Cameras positioned outside the hospital, official announcement timing observed, witnesses present, paperwork filed correctly from day one. This transcends privacy preferences. This concerns protocol existing specifically because children in the succession line require documentation that can never face legitimate questioning. So when Meghan's birth allegedly violated every established rule, when timelines defied logic, when the Queen reportedly wasn't informed appropriately, when certificates required post facto amendments, observers inevitably asked why. Because answering that question matters for something far greater than family privacy. It concerns the legitimacy of the royal succession line itself.
And Archie and Lilibet, they haven't had any verification of who gave birth to those children, which is actually quite mandatory. We've heard Harry, the incredible story of Wonder Woman Meghan Markle walking out of a room 1 hour after giving delivery to Archie.
While the timeline raised eyebrows, Samantha Markle's recent public statements elevated suspicions dramatically. Once she began discussing what their father Thomas Markle allegedly knew, everything became exponentially more complicated. Samantha didn't merely suggest vague improprieties with the pregnancy, she allegedly provided specific details, obtained directly from Thomas. According to what Samantha revealed to journalist Dan Wooten, Thomas Markle stated that 9 months before Archie's alleged birth, Meghan retrieved her frozen eggs 9 months prior, not years earlier, as part of general fertility planning, but allegedly at the precise timeline that would correspond with utilizing those eggs for surrogacy rather than natural conception. Samantha's exact words, according to reports, were, "My father said 9 months before Archie was allegedly born that Meghan picked up her frozen eggs. I thought that makes sense. There would be a surrogate involved. Consider the implications carefully."
They could say, no, we did not use a surrogate and be done with it. Why they don't is suspect, but admitting they did use a surrogate would unravel the lies. Why the need for a moon bump? Why cosplay being pregnant?
If Thomas Markle, Meghan's own father who maintained contact with her during the early pregnancy timeline, possessed knowledge about frozen eggs being retrieved at that specific moment, then he allegedly had information suggesting Meghan was planning something fundamentally different from natural pregnancy. Samantha went further, demanding that if surrogacy was employed, they should acknowledge it publicly instead of maintaining secrecy that breeds suspicion. She highlighted the obvious problem with such an admission. If surrogacy was used, then according to royal succession regulations, the children would allegedly need removal from the line of succession. An heir must be born from a titled royal mother, not through a surrogate carrying someone else's pregnancy. This isn't Samantha's opinion. This is reportedly how royal succession law actually functions. Suddenly, the secrecy makes perfect sense. If Meghan utilized a surrogate, admitting that truth would mean Archie and Lilibet lose their succession placement, forfeit their prince and princess titles, and lose their entire royal status. Everything Meghan allegedly worked toward vanishes the moment that truth emerges. They could simply state, no, we did not use a surrogate, and resolve it. Why they don't is deeply suspect, but admitting surrogate use would unravel everything. Why the need for a prosthetic belly? Why this elaborate performance of pregnancy? As Samantha's bombshell statements spread online, other family members joined the chorus. No one close to Meghan seems to believe the pregnancy narrative anymore. Thomas Markle Jr., Meghan's half-brother didn't simply question the pregnancies, he allegedly created an entire YouTube video mocking the concept. According to reports, Thomas Jr. donned a wig and tiara, stuffed a pillow beneath his shirt to simulate a pregnant belly, and declared on camera, "I was just showing off the new bump I bought used on eBay out of Montecito." This isn't subtle family criticism. This is publicly accusing your half-sister of fabricating pregnancy with prosthetic equipment. Royal commentator Jenny Bond characterized this as the ultimate betrayal, having your own flesh and blood lead the assault on your credibility. But here's what makes these family accusations so significant. These aren't anonymous internet trolls or baseless conspiracy theorists with no connection to Meghan. These are people who allegedly know her intimately, who possess insider information about her plans and timeline, who apparently don't believe the official story presented to the world. Thomas Markle Sr. allegedly knew about frozen eggs.
We all go to work every day. It's very hard. I don't feel sorry for you. You know, like I didn't have people bringing me my meals and rubbing my feet at the end of the day, as I guarantee you these two did. No one cares. Our sympathies aren't with you. They are with the women who work 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the table.
Samantha allegedly connected those eggs to the surrogacy timeline. Thomas Jr. allegedly believes prosthetic bellies were involved. When your entire family publicly questions whether you actually gave birth, when they're willing to risk appearing ridiculous by making these accusations, when they persist in demanding answers despite legal threats and public backlash, observers wonder what information they actually possess that makes them so confident in these claims. The family accusations aren't the only fractures appearing in Meghan's story. Once royal experts and medical professionals began analyzing what Harry documented in Spare, something became painfully obvious. The medical details he described don't align with how childbirth actually functions. Let's begin with the birth location confusion. For months before Archie's arrival, reports claimed Meghan planned a home birth at Frogmore Cottage. She wanted a natural, private experience away from hospital protocols. That story was repeated constantly in media coverage. Then suddenly, Archie was born at Portland Hospital, nearly 20 miles from Frogmore. No explanation for why plans changed so dramatically. No announcement that she went to hospital instead. Just suddenly, the baby was allegedly born there, and they were home 2 hours later. One palace source quoted by media noted, "How many women plan home birth, end up at hospital 20 miles away, give birth, and are home in 2 hours?" That sequence doesn't make sense unless something fundamentally different from standard birth occurred.
I'm very excited to announce that Meghan and myself had a baby boy early this morning, a very healthy boy. Mother and baby are doing incredibly well. It's been the most amazing experience I could ever possibly imagine. How any woman does what they do is beyond comprehension.
Consider the hospital itself. Portland Hospital is renowned for being ultra-private, ultra-luxurious, ultra-secure, but it's also known for following strict medical protocols, especially for high-profile patients. Mothers don't simply walk out 2 hours after delivery. Newborns require minimum observation periods.
When I first saw it, I thought like, wait, no way this can actually be real. Number one, it just looks really weird, but like, it's also, her belly actually does look really fake. And this has been something that a lot of like her haters have been saying, is that she was faking her pregnancy, she was using a surrogate, and she just had like a moon.
Paperwork takes time to process properly. Discharge after birth involves multiple safety checks that cannot be rushed, regardless of how much someone desires privacy. For Meghan to have delivered and departed within 2 hours, hospital staff would have had to skip mandatory procedures, ignore safety protocols, and rush discharge in ways that allegedly violate their own standards. And here's the part nobody discusses. If Meghan actually gave birth at Portland that day, there would be witnesses, staff who observed her in labor, nurses who assisted delivery, doctors who authorized discharge, security who logged her arrival and departure. None of those individuals have ever been confirmed publicly. The doctor who allegedly delivered Archie was reported as Dr. Penelope Law, but subsequent reports suggested confusion about who actually was involved. For a royal birth that should have crystal clear documentation and witnesses, everything about Archie's arrival allegedly remains mysteriously vague.
Is this a pregnant belly? Yes, that's supposed to be a real belly. Pregnant belly. Yeah, and I'm 15 years of age, which I'm not.
If medical timeline problems raised questions, the physical evidence made people exponentially more suspicious. Once observers began analyzing photographs and videos of Meghan during both pregnancies, they noticed anomalies that didn't align with normal pregnancy progression. Multiple images circulated online, allegedly showing Meghan's baby bump appearing different sizes on the same day, changing shape unusually between photos, or looking like it moved position in ways that natural pregnancy bellies don't typically move. Some photographs allegedly showed what resembled edges or attachment lines where a prosthetic belly might connect. Videos captured moments where the bump allegedly appeared to shift or collapse briefly in ways observers claimed proved it wasn't authentic. Stooks. One particular viral video allegedly showed Meghan squatting down in heels and a dress, with her belly appearing to fold unnaturally during the motion. Critics claimed this proved prosthetic use. A real pregnant belly wouldn't compress that way. Then came Meghan's own attempt to address these rumors. In June 2025, she posted an archival video to Instagram showing her and Harry dancing in what appeared to be a hospital room, with Meghan displaying a large baby bump. The caption stated this was 4 years ago, right before Lilibet's birth, allegedly proving she was genuinely pregnant. But even that video sparked more controversy instead of settling anything. Observers claimed the bump looked positioned too high, wrong shape, not consistent with 9-month pregnancy. Some said they could discern monitor equipment beneath her clothes, which doctors later confirmed would be normal for checking baby's heart rate. Others insisted the visible lumps weren't monitors, but proof of prosthetic attachments. The video was supposedly meant to silence surrogacy rumors definitively. Instead, it allegedly gave skeptics even more material to analyze and question. While visual evidence remained disputed, the legal and succession implications became impossible to ignore. No controversy threatens the monarchy the way succession questions do. Everything about the British royal family centers on legitimacy, bloodline, and proper documentation of who has rightful claim to titles and throne. That's why protocol exists in the first place, to prevent exactly the kind of questions that now surround Archie and Lilibet. Lady Colin Campbell, a royal author with decades of palace connections, has been among the loudest voices demanding investigation. She reportedly declared, "I think the whole thing stinks to high heaven." Meghan has created a situation that has caused people to believe the children were born by surrogacy. Clear it up once and for all. There should be no mystery as to who is legitimately in the line of succession. That's not gossip or jealousy speaking. That's someone with insider knowledge of how succession functions, saying the ambiguity itself is the problem. A high-level palace courtier allegedly told media, "This scandal comes as no surprise." Speculation about the children has been simmering for years. The kids are 6th and 7th in line to the throne, but have been under cloak and dagger secrecy since they were born. There are so many questions swirling around them. This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out. Notice what that statement actually means. Palace insiders allegedly believe there are legitimate questions requiring answers. They're not dismissing concerns as crazy conspiracy theories. They're reportedly acknowledging that secrecy has created a succession problem, demanding resolution. Because if Archie and Lilibet were born via surrogate, then according to centuries of royal law, they don't belong in succession at all. Titles would be removed, royal status would disappear, and Meghan would be exposed as having deceived not just the public, but the entire institution. That's why the stakes matter so profoundly. This isn't about privacy or choices about how to have children. This is allegedly about whether 2 children currently in line for the British throne actually qualify under the laws that govern succession. We've reached the final, devastating chapter of this story, the part where everything converges. Every detail Meghan has shared about Archie and Lilibet's births was wrapped in layers of privacy, security, and protection, keeping the children safe from media intrusion and public pressure. It sounded reasonable, like modern parents making careful choices in difficult circumstances. But once you examine the complete picture, the timeline that defies logic, the hospital visit that violates medical protocol, the family members who claim knowledge of frozen eggs and surrogacy plans, the physical evidence that skeptics insist proves prosthetic deception, and the amended birth certificates, the lack of confirmed witnesses or medical staff, the palace insiders demanding investigation, the succession law that would strip titles if surrogacy is confirmed, the complete absence of irrefutable proof that Meghan actually carried and delivered these children. All these pieces form a pattern too troubling to dismiss. This isn't about gossip or trolling a celebrity. This concerns two children whose place in royal succession allegedly depends on answers that have never been clearly provided. As more people demand transparency, as Samantha Markle continues pushing her father's claims about frozen eggs, as Harry reportedly begins questioning things himself, according to sources close to the situation, one truth becomes unavoidable. Something about Meghan's pregnancy story does not align with documented facts, medical reality, royal protocol, or family knowledge. The secrecy makes sense if there's truth to hide. The defensive responses make sense if surrogacy actually happened. The timeline problems make sense if birth didn't occur the way the official story claims. And when questions this serious surround children in line to the throne, silence stops being about privacy and becomes about deception. The fairy tale of Meghan's magical pregnancies is crumbling, and the truth that's been hiding behind prosthetic bellies, legal threats, and carefully edited photographs is finally demanding to be seen, no matter how long Meghan and Harry try to keep it buried.